Hello, and welcome to the Gamerdisco podcast. This is our monthly podcast discussing all the current goings-on in the world of gaming. Yes, sadly, whilst we can't entertain you in real-life events, we thought this would be a good way of staying in touch with our fans, all of whom we've missed a great deal over the past year or so. God, it has been a while. I'm Harry, your host for this episode. Oh God, yes, it has. Jesus.
Yes.
That's a worrying thought. Anyway, yes, I'm Harry. I normally do this. But joining us today is our resident DJ extraordinaire, DJ Jet Set Rory.
Hello.
And our man who always has a plan, the effervescent Swanny.
Hi.
Sadly, our other... Well, you know, he's always doing
no,
things,
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying it's a beautiful turn of phrase.
Google helps with these things. Yeah, sadly, our other host, the knowledgeable James, can't be with us today. He has a thing to do, so it's just the three of us. But yes, what we thought we'd do this month was discuss the latest state of play from Sony and the latest Nintendo Direct, because there have been some quite exciting announcements made, and also some rather controversial ones that definitely need discussing. Yes, well, the less said about those, the better, but we'll get to those. So, kicking things off then, the Sony State of Play. The big announcement, well, there were lots of remasters announced and remakes for PS5, not least of all Star Wars Knights of the Realm, or is it the Old Republic?
The Old Republic, or KOTOR, as I guess people call it.
Star Wars and a Goblet of Fire Thrones?
I like it. I mean... I didn't play it, but it seems to have a very big fan base. So, yeah, I guess people are happy about that.
I think it's like regarded as maybe almost the best Star Wars game. I never got around to playing it. I'm not sure how much this remaster has really tinkered with the original formula or look, but it's available, or it will be in a kind of as best version as you could possibly get if you do want to go back and play it. So, yeah, I'm kind of intrigued to see exactly what all the fuss is about, or was about at the time.
Do you think it'll have the Sarlacc pit monster in it as well?
Playable character. It becomes like a mini game where like different bounty hunters dangle in your open maw and drop in and you know, swallow whole.
never been fetter, you know, because Boba Fett. Sorry.
Never has a Star Wars game been explained with more entendres.
That's what I do. But yeah, that's coming to PS5 and Switch, I believe, so that could be quite cool. Yes, also from the State of Play, big announcement was Spider-Man 2, which will be a PS5 exclusive. I don't know if you guys played the Spider-Man PS4 game. I thought it was really rather good.
Yeah, I've been playing it recently, the original version on PS4, and yeah, I'm kind of enjoying it. I don't know how much more we need of Spider-Man 2, apart from just his more plot and villains, because I think the gameplay is pretty accurate. Although I've kind of found with the original game, it's sort of inherently fun to play, but it's also a little bit like you just have a big map and here's a bunch of dots and I have to go to these dots and do the mission at these dots, and then my map gets a little bit more complete. And I kind of wish that like it was a bit more compelling. Maybe the second game will be more compelling.
It's a bit tedious like that, isn't it? And I guess the second game will be the same city, so they can't do much in that sense. But Venom's in it, so that's something.
Ooh.
Yeah, you know.
I think voiced by the Candyman himself, Tony Todd, I believe.
Is it? That's cool.
Yeah.
But of course, Peter will have his original face from the... not the original face, the new face. Because obviously he had a face for the PS4 version, then they remastered it for the PS5, and it changed Peter's face, and it looked really weird.
They remade his face.
Well, you know, because I think to make him look more like Tom Holland, and that was totally uncalled for, unneeded.
Maybe it's like a stealth Darkman game with the Sam Raimi connection, and suddenly he'll take off his mask and it's Liam Neeson.
Oh, well. I heard Raimi's quite excited for the new Spider-Man film too, so that could be interesting.
Oh, he's doing the new Doctor Strange.
Yes, but he was tweeting about the new Spider-Man film coming out, saying, I'm glad they brought back some of my characters from my trilogy. It's quite exciting to see, and he was happy to revisit it. So
I'm sorry, how is Raimi involved with all of this?
Sam Raimi.
Raimi, sorry, not Raimi.
I don't pronounce it sometimes.
Right.
I mean, that would make a great game. Raimi's Spider-Man.
It's sort of a survival version, not so city-based.
I mean, they have spiders there, so, it's a Spider-Man.
Yeah, let's see how you swing. Well, I guess, in a forest, there's plenty of trees.
That's very true.
From those. Pretty easy. Natural habitat for a Spider-Man.
Hey, it's a climate-based Spider-Man. That's what we're talking about here. Climate change, swinging around, taking out avocado farmers. I like it.
Spider-Man. John Spider-Man. Yes. Moving on.
Yeah, let's Peter Park that conversation.
Oh, go on. Very good. Any more? Anyone else?
Yeah.
No, we done?
I'm not going to make a Mary Jane pun right now.
That was good. I like that. Yes, so also coming from Insomniac is Wolverine. They just teased us with an image, so that could be good, but of course there's no Hugh Jackman involved, so how good remains to be seen, but, seeing that character in a game could be good. I think he was in one for PS3 that was quite good, just like a slasher type game. That could be fun.
That was actually quite fun. I did play the last Wolverine game. I quite enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was quite enjoyable. It was very platformery. I'm into God of War and stuff like that. It was very graphically, physically clunky. Jumping into helicopters and that sort of stuff was pretty cool. But otherwise, I think the only Wolverine character is the SNK Marvel version from the arcades for me. Really, that's the only Wolverine. character.
Marvel versus Capcom stuff.
That's the one, Capcom. Yeah,
that's the good shit.
Yeah,
there you go. Yes, speaking of God of War, they've announced the date for the new one, the God of War Ragnarok, the sequel to the PS5 version, and it's going to be the last one in the series, they say, before they, I guess, reboot it again. I don't know. But it's good that they've had the guts to just end something when they're happy with it and not drag it out longer than they should do.
I quite like. There was a lot of furore online, wasn't there, about the animations that had been used and things, and essentially someone saying, "Oh, they've rebuilt it from the ground up," and then a community backlash of, "No, they haven't. It's exactly the same animations." It's like, well, yeah. You'll have to read more into that. You can't have
different opinions on the internet. That's not allowed.
No. It's atrocious, eh? No, but absolutely love God of War games. I'm hoping it's going to be visually stunning, and the pace is always quite good with the God of War games. That's why I quite like. It gives you a long time to do some really cool shit and learn how to do some good stuff. So yeah, looking forward to that.
I remember the original games for the PS3 were fantastic. Well, the PS2, in fact, they were really good. Especially the sex mini game in the first one. That was fun.
Hello.
Tapping X, to tap something else. Moving on.
Moving on. As he did.
Okay.
So, also announced. So, Gran Turismo 7. One of those.
Speaking of sex, cars.
A natural segue there. That was yes. I don't know.
Yeah. Big fan of driving games. Big fan of Gran Turismo as well. Really looking forward to seeing. More so seeing how it's developed. I remember, the original PS2 version and how visually stunning that was. And every generation, a lot of our younger listeners might not remember some of those, but seeing how visually stunning it was then, I'm not really sure how much further they can go. I want like a scratch and sniff rubber version next, which is what the original PS2 one was, Get interactive with the format, but although it's probably all digital, so how you deliver that, I don't know.
I'm sure there's a way they could deliver smells with the current new generation of consoles if they really wanted to. Although I think it would be a bit tricky to get people to get away from their machines if they had petrol fume smell. I think people would just be stuck indoors all day getting high off that.
I bet you're right.
Speaking for myself, anyway.
We're not judging. It always bugged me in those games. There was never any damage to the cars. Like you crash your car and it would still be pristine.
And depends what setting you had it on.
Could you do damage? Could you turn it on?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I stand corrected. Boy, do I look foolish.
All I ever want from a driving game is the ability to honk my horn. If there isn't a horn honking button, then it's dead to me. It's not even worth playing.
I mean, that's fair. Very fair.
I play games for escapism, and the ability to honk my horn wherever I go is part of that.
How do you feel about upgraded horns? Where you usually get a little micro shop where you can go in the garage. You can get UV lights maybe, or you can go or a classic police. Rory's going I'm picturing Rory making a Fiat Arbath with like a Chris Eubank style truck horn on it. That's
I don't need customization. I'll just go with whichever the make and models. I'm very it needs to be authentic. So, if they have all the licenses for all these vehicles, the horn has to sound like the car it comes from's horn. That makes sense?
Tough but fair. No, that's, makes sense. Okay, also this month, Alan Wake, that's coming out onto both PlayStation and Microsoft, which originally just 360, wasn't it?
I've got my copy ready to play tonight. So
oh wow, don't let us keep you. I mean,
well, yeah, guys, come on. I never played the Alan Wake game, but it's one of my wife's favorite all-time games. So we're looking forward to playing this remastered version together very much. So yeah, it's spooky month. So we're going to get our flashlights out. Flash, I said.
Hello.
Flash. And point it at some scary things in the dark, I assume.
I was going to say, you're going full-on experience. You're going lights out completely, proper scary mode.
We might have a lamp on, but
you're going to put the gamma setting too high, aren't you? So you can see right into the corners. I know.
I also just want to see the beautifully designed and rendered visuals and graphics and textures. So that's why the brightness is up to 100%.
There you go. Couples that play together stay together. That's the saying, right?
Especially with flashlights.
Flash.
Yes. Flashlights. Savior
he saved every one of us.
Flash is gone now, though. Didn't Flash get ended by Adobe?
Yeah.
That's a different kind of Flash.
I think we've covered 5 different types of flashes there. And
not even Ming the Merciless could have stopped Flash Gordon. But Adobe.
I wonder if it's got a Ming the Merciless Flash Gordon. Moving on.
Yeah, I mean, there were a few other games announced at the State of Play, but I mean, nothing took my fancy. I mean, obviously, other than GTA 5 remaster, because who doesn't want that? GTA 5 again. That's
You can almost play GTA 5 on as many machines as Doom. But I think, in terms of the original stuff, like new games and things, I was quite taken by Project Eve, which kind of looks like a sort of futuristic-y Bayonetta-esque action game, but it just sort of intrigued me because all the dialogue was Korean, and it's a Korean developer and stuff, and it's kind of like interesting to see a big flashy title from Korea in that sort of like, with all these announcements, just they tend to be US, Europe, and Japan oriented, so that sort of like piqued my interest as a result of that. So yeah, out of the sort of State of Play, that was kind of the main, I guess, sort of new non-sequel, non-IP based title that looked a little bit different and interesting.
Okay. I thought, was it called Tachia? Am I saying that right? That looked quite fun. Sort of a fun kind of visual style, was sort of not cartoony, but is it cell shaded? Is it called? That looked quite fun.
It was maybe a little bit cell shaded. I think like you're seeing quite a few games from maybe smaller development teams but taking maybe some of the lessons learned from the likes of Breath of the Wild to create, here's a visually resplendent location, and particularly with this game having its influence with small Polynesian islands in the Pacific Ocean, and using a lot of the sort of culture and language, etc., of those places, and inspiration for that, you can do something which is using a style of gameplay which people are sort of familiar with, but then allow that to tell like a new or interesting story that you don't see in gaming, at least in the sort of big AAA titles anyway. So it's nice to have that showcased in the big state of play with all the other major developers all jostling for attention.
Yeah, it didn't have to be a sort of first-person shooter with lots of killing and death and guns. It can just be a fun, cutesy thing.
Yeah, where you play the ukulele and hang out with crabs.
I mean, why not? Sounds like fun to me. Cool, well, moving on then to Nintendo Direct. Yeah, wow, lots to unpack there. I mean, where to start? The N64 is now coming to Switch Online with 64 games, starting with a small selection and going to grow soon. And you can play online together, which I thought was very cool. Like playing Mario Kart 64. Wow.
Yeah, I think particularly because like the N64, with the fact that it had 4 control ports, so it was primed and designed for multiplayer. So the idea that you could take some of these multiplayer focused titles online and play with friends, that's definitely a hugely exciting proposition. Yeah. And the fact that, they're releasing a special controller to go with it. And I know the N64 controller has its, detractors as well as those who would praise it. But I'm looking forward to trying to get one myself. But yeah, it seems like a pretty good lineup, at least sort of initially. I'm sort of interested that amongst some of the more familiar titles you have in the mix, Sin and Punishment, which was I think Japan only, or at least it was never released in the EU, except I think Virtual Console. Eventually on the Wii or the Wii U was the first time you could play it. You couldn't actually play it in Europe on the N64. So having that sort of being available is cool, and also sort of win back Covert Operations, which was kind of like a Metal Gear Solid for the N64. By all accounts, not as good as Metal Gear Solid, but I remember enjoying it quite a bit, and it had some pretty cool music as well. So to see that, amongst the kind of main titles that you would expect, like your Mario Karts and Mario 64, etc., was nice. So I hope people at least try that out when it's added to the Switch Online library.
Brings it to a new audience. Yeah, and
they also had Mega Drive games as well added to Switch Online, so
and the controller,
we can go, and a controller as well. So again, it's for the console wars kid that I was of the 90s to see the union of Sega and Nintendo warms the heart and stirs the spirit.
Sega CD, reimagined, let's say. Sorry, Mega Drive CD, not Sega CD. What am I on?
Mega CD.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends to see what comes out and what they can get the rights to. I mean, something like GoldenEye perhaps, or Conquest Bad Fur Day would set me down straight. That'd be great.
I think given the leak of the GoldenEye remaster earlier this year, I don't expect we will be seeing GoldenEye ever. But you never know. Like, stranger things have happened. So we'll see.
Stranger Things actually has.
Yeah, Stranger Things happened. They made it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
I wonder kind of like, when I was watching that Nintendo Direct and they announced N64 Online, I was just like, wouldn't it be hilarious if they just like casually dropped in, and GoldenEye's here, like just in the background of this video. but alas, not to be seen. But who knows? I think Nintendo and Microsoft have a pretty good relationship at the moment with the likes of Cuphead and Ori and the Wisps and all that kind of stuff sort of coming to Switch. So, and Banjo, Kazooie and Smash.
Maybe there's a scene in a new Bond film where he's playing it.
We can only hope.
I haven't seen it yet, so no spoilers for me.
No, me neither. But yeah, what I was going to say, it's quite strange because they remade GoldenEye for, I think, was it the Wii U or something, and it had Daniel Craig's face instead of Pierce Brosnan, which was very strange.
Yeah, it was a very odd time in games where obviously using the GoldenEye name very cynically, because they had GoldenEye Rogue Agent as well, which had no connection to GoldenEye, the Pierce Brosnan movie or the N64 game, but just capitalized on the name by making you play as a supervillain who had a golden eye. So there we go.
I mean, sure, why not? Yeah. What else for the Switch? My goodness, quite a lot actually. New Kirby game, new Bayonetta, new Monster Hunter content, new Splatoon. Any of those take your fancy?
Yeah, I mean, like Splatoon 3, I'm looking forward to. I love the Splatoon games, so this was just a reveal of a few more bits and pieces, including the story mode. I think the new Kirby game, everyone just sort of thought, because it's set in this kind of post-apocalyptic dystopia, but it's Kirby. And when they like showed the first footage, it was like, it looked like The Last of Us, but like there's like Kirby bobbing around instead of like scary mushroom men. So I think that's going to be an interesting proposition. And yeah, Bayonetta 3 I think was like revealed years ago, and no one had heard anything about it since. So that was definitely like a kind of it's still coming promise sort of fan service.
Very exciting
reveal.
Very exciting, obviously.
Trailer.
I feel like games that are long gestating, that are constantly hyped and hyped and hyped, always end up disappointing. Like Duke Nukem, for example. That was a real shame.
But I think it's one of those things, because I think when you announce a game has become so specific, like so much is riding on the announcement, and it's just, do you announce and then it comes out shortly after, and you ride the hype train that has built up just from the announcement, or do you announce like years in advance and build up slowly and gradually like the anticipation? It's really tricky. I mean, like this Alan Wake remaster was announced in this, it was very heavily rumored for a while, but it was only announced in the state of play, and so like it's out now, so it's like a month between official announcement and official release, whereas obviously Bayonetta 3 like was announced maybe 3-4 years ago, and Metroid Prime 4 was announced around about the same time, and we haven't heard anything, well, haven't seen anything about it since, but you have to kind of reassure everyone, it's still being made, it's still coming, we promise. So yeah, it's a tricky balance, because you want to obviously sweep people up in the initial hype if you can, but you also want to make sure that people are also sort of, if you do announce well in advance, that people are still interested and still care years later.
Yeah, I mean, you need long-time fans, and also you need to bring in new fans at the same time, which is a tough line to walk, I guess.
Yeah, so I wonder whether they'll, in order to maintain the sort of hype and stuff, like sometimes they, re-release earlier titles, or they do tie-ups and collaborations or whatever, just to keep the interest and introduce to newcomers at the same time.
Very true. Well, I mean, speaking of re-releases and remasters, Castlevania, I believe, is getting a collection of games. That's always good, right?
I never really got into the Castlevania game. I don't know, apart from Game Boy, obviously, because it was one of the only games that was good on it. But even the latest releases, there's one about 10 years ago maybe as well, and I've just never been able to get into them properly. I'm not sure why. I don't know if you boys have ever...
I played the originals again.
Why Castlevania?
The NES ones and the other. I don't know if the new ones are any good, but
I want to be excited by them. I love the story. I want to get involved with it. I just don't know why I've not turned to them.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of like never played them properly. Just sort of dipped in here and there, and yeah, I mean, this like Game Boy Advance collection has been awaited as well, so it's nice to have it in a very easily playable format again, because not everyone has a Game Boy Advance, and it's nice to have it on a big screen instead of, at least when I tried to play a Game Boy Advance game recently, I completely forgot that, oh yeah, the first version didn't have a backlit screen, so I'm gonna I have to sit under a very bright light to play this. So, you know, even the idea that you can play it on a screen which actually lights up is kind of revolutionary. So
that is the dream. I mean, if I was, you know, myself as a child driving in the back of my parents' car, having to rely on street lights to be passed to see the screen on a Game Boy, if that person could see me now, they'd be so happy. Kids
don't know how they've got it so good.
I know, right? Backlights, spoiled. Yeah, I mean, as far as Nintendo goes, not much else I saw game-wise was that interesting. Mario Party Superstars, Mario Golf, standard fodder, I guess. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, the big Nintendo news this month, I guess, is the Mario movie.
Yeah, so I was watching the Nintendo Direct live, and when Shigeru Miyamoto came out, it was like, oh my god, it's Miyamoto. He's gate crashed the Nintendo Direct party. What's he got to say? And then he was like, oh, so yeah, the Mario movie. I was like, okay, Mario movie, yeah. So it's coming out December 2022. It's just like, oh wow, okay, that's cool. Release date, and then the cast list. And I don't think I've felt so like kind of giddy and like I've gone crazy in the head than in the kind of like few minutes that Miyamoto-san went through the cast list for this movie, to the extent that like when they kind of released the Splatoon 3 trailer immediately afterwards, I was just like still reeling like I from the announcement.
I don't think you're alone there. That was yeah.
Wow. So I think because like, so this movie is being made with Illumination, who make, I mean, I guess most famous for like Despicable Me and Minions. And I think looking at this cast list, you kind of, it's like, I didn't know what this movie was going to be. And then you look at the cast list and it's like, oh, okay, I know what this movie's going to be now. Like, I can already picture the first trailer in my head. But
yeah, I fear that you're right there. I mean, yeah, they've obviously gone for big name casting as opposed to people that are right for the roles, which is a typical Hollywood thing.
I wonder whether it's, though, I just get the impression that it's kind of like Miyamoto and the Nintendo team were like, so we need a cast for this Mario movie. Who do you want? And he just kind of like looked through the most popular movies, or he looked through his DVD collection and didn't really think, oh, this person would be great as this character, but was just like, oh, they're famous. Let's see if we can get them. But, you know, I withhold judgment. And I think amongst the sort of list, there are like there's interesting talent
I hope you're right. Much like you, I'm holding out hope. You know, I'll wait till the first trailer comes out and then judge it by that, or maybe by the film itself.
I think it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be great, isn't it? We all need a new Mario film, and there's a lot of people in that cast that aren't allowed to fail when it comes to movies. Do you know what I mean? There's too many people. It's just too mainstream. There's too many different mainstream characters.
Pratt. Why Chris Pratt? I don't. I mean, I'm glad it wasn't James Corden, which was my fear. But,
I think that's obviously like the kind of the lightning rod for all the criticism is that, and like he did release a video on Instagram afterwards, sort of talking about him getting the role, and he said, "It's a me, a Mario."
Oh,
but
I saw that. Yeah.
The phrase is "It's a me, Mario." There's no "It's a me, a Mario." So he's already messed up the audition.
He says he's got a voice planned, but that doesn't bode well.
Yeah, I mean, who can say? The fact that like they mentioned that the current Mario voice actor for the games, Charles Martinet, will be making appearances in the movie is I guess like to make the fans a bit happier. But,
I guess.
Like I don't know. I think there's some like it's an interesting cast list. Let's just say, and I will be intrigued to see what they bring to the roles. But because a lot of these characters don't really talk too much anyway, it's like it'll depend on the story and it'll depend with what they're doing. I think it will be a kind of origin story to a certain extent.
As long as they're not brought into the real world, because that is always a terrible trope that we've had enough of.
Well, I think it will be. I imagine it will be the Mario brothers entering the Mushroom Kingdom for the first time and having their plumbing minds blown.
I like that theory. Oh, you heard it here first, folks.
But I think it's. I mean, in terms of the other cast, I mean, I like all the other sort of like actors and things involved. It'll just be a case of like whether they do it. I mean, I think like Jack Black as Bowser, sure. I think Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. Sure.
Plus, they're both video game fans, aren't they, those two actors? So it's nice that they've cast people who are actually fans of gaming in a gaming project, which isn't often the case. So that's nice.
I think it's interesting because, like, lower down in the cast list, you have like Cranky Kong and Kamek, like Magic Cooper, and making an appearance, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, so like the Mario character list bench is pretty deep, but they're already like going straight in there with. I mean, I didn't even think Donkey Kong was going to be in there. I mean, it's just like, oh, Donkey Kong's here. It's just like, okay, so they're going in that direction. So like, basically, anything can happen, but it will probably be fairly, 3 out of 5.
I fear you might be right. I mean, you are the movie expert among us, so
this is true.
What's your opinion?
Sure. I mean, like, I was hotly waiting for this, and I just didn't expect it to land in my lap midway through a Nintendo Direct. So that was like a shock to me. It was like
good fodder there.
Essentially, the Mark Kermode of the games film world.
He is. If you haven't heard it, listen to his great podcast, Games on Film. Really good film.
Thank you very much.
There you go. Got to get the plugs in there. Indeed. Okay, so before we say what we've been playing this month, just time to announce there's been a Smash character announced, I believe. Rory, this is your thing, so I'll leave it to you.
My thing. I mean, I when I say my thing, I watched the announcement. I actually, honestly, I barely played the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. The current and most up-to-date version of Smash Brothers. I've enjoyed all the games, but this was one where I was just like, I don't have time to play this, so I'm not going to get this new one because it's actually just too full of content. There's just like too much. There's too much game for me to have the time to play. But yeah, like they announced the final DLC character, and it's the final character to be in this ultimate version of the game. So there was obviously a lot of talk and a lot of hype about who this could be, and it was announced that it'll be the character Sora from the Kingdom Hearts games, who apparently sort of topped a poll as to most requested character from fans. Whether that was like a fan bombing thing or not, I'm not sure. But I think a lot of concern was it would be, it's going to be another anime sword fighter boy. And they weren't wrong, but that seems to be, the way things go with these Smash Brothers DLC extra fighters. So, no surprise there in that respect. But I guess, if the fans want him, the fans got him. So, well done, fans.
I mean, the games are an acquired taste, I feel, to each their own. So, I'm sure the fans will be happy.
They're an acquired taste, but they have clearly a very dedicated and vocal fan base.
Yes, and vocal being the word.
Vocal. So, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's fun. I think the kind of like the nice extra additional surprise was that they did add like an extra Mii fighter costume of Doom Slayer, Doom guy from Doom, which means that people can live their Doom Animal Crossing crossover fantasies at last. So Doom has arrived in Smash Brothers as a costume, but as a rather than a regular, full blown fighter, but close enough. And I think, given that this game's been out for so long and they've added so much content, and there's now like over 80 fighters and etc., I'm just very happy that Sakurai can finally have some rest, because he always looks very tired and putting on a brave face, having to deal with all the internet hubbub.
Can't be fun. Gosh, 80 characters now, that's mad. But if it's what they want, then people get it, I guess, so that's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's all I had for this month. Do you guys anything else to bring up?
No, not particularly. Just interested to see what's going to happen. Don't know where we're putting this out. What's going to happen at EGX this weekend? It's going to be fun to go along, physical event again, see what's going on there.
Yes.
So
Long time coming.
Excited / not quite sure what to expect, really. To be honest, it's happening, and we shall see. Report back next month, I guess.
I guess this is the first sort of big in-person games event, at least in the UK. For a good
definitely.
long while.
And I know the teams blows fist, strokes collar. I know the team down at Exile. They're very good at what they do. The EGX team are obviously very good at what they do, and over the years, so it should be interesting to see. I know that the some of the Comic Cons have been sold. They sold a lot of tickets for them. Quite interested to see again what happens as and when people return to some of the guests that are coming back, and how that changes, whether we get developers over as well, and how we see how that goes up. So yeah, interested to see what goes on this weekend, really.
We shall see. Well, last thing we always do on the podcast is say what we've been playing this last month. So who wants to start us off? Swanny?
Yeah, definitely. I've as well as Just Cause again, because I've still got lots of it to try and complete. I don't know if this is a bit of a legacy with me. Just Cause is my favourite franchise, and I've 100%ed 1 and 2. 3 not so much, but 4 I'm just on this sort of ridiculous mission to try. So that's going to be played for the next year or so. Other than that, a couple of little fun mobile titles that have just been really funny ad-based ones that I've picked up, God knows how, but just gone click. Bid Wars, that Storage Wars game. It's phenomenal. It's great fun. This is what one of my friends would call a toilet game, but I'm not going to be so coarse as to a bus game, let's say. I don't know why I'm getting addicted to these for. But also, a board game arena has been quite a bit of fun. So as people still being in lockdown and stuff, I found a website called Board Game Arena, which has been a bit of a chuckle, really. Lots of games on there, Catan and Flux and stuff like that. It's just been good to gather up with a few friends, because we've now still got Christmas coming. Let's all not spend money, but let's have some fun online together. So it's been enjoyable.
God. Christmas, don't remind me.
Yeah. Well, I'm not reminding you intentionally. I'm saying get online and play some board games rather than go out and buy stuff. But you can get mince pies. I did get mince pies last week, and I appreciated the irony of the fact of a product that goes off a whole 7 weeks before it's intended to be consumed. That was phenomenal. Of course, I ate 6 of them in 2 days just to make sure they didn't go off. So,
I mean, that's a safe thing to do.
There we go.
Help yourself, Rory. What have you been playing?
Well, I guess I've been. I think last time I was on, I was playing Resident Evil Village, and that's finished. That's done. So happy with that. Enjoyed it a lot. And at the moment, kind of getting towards the end of Uncharted 4. So been playing all the Uncharted games, and been enjoying this one very much. I still think currently number 2 is my favourite out of the bunch, right, but I think Uncharted 4 comes pretty close. So I'm not sure how it's going to end. No spoilers, please. Thank you.
I shan't.
But yeah, and then there's Lost Legacy. I just have to play afterwards as well. Anyway, but
it's a nice footnote. That I like that.
I've been enjoying it. It's a very pretty game, and I think particularly when it's very difficult to go anywhere or go traveling and that kind of thing, to be able to like boot it up and here's like a beautiful tropical island, or here's like some magical ruins or something like that. It's nice to have this kind of like globe-trotting, game to sort of like, take you away from your dull existence.
Good logic. I like it.
Just for a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of swimming around, and a little bit of shooting a private military army who are trying to steal some relics. The usual. Whatever you get up to on your vacations.
I mean, sometimes. I enjoy the ending. It's I enjoyed those games. I played them like long after they were released, so definitely after the fact. But yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm clearly way behind. The backlog continues.
It only gets bigger.
I blame discounts. I blame the eShop sales.
Steam. Yeah. Nice. Personally, I've been playing some indie games like One Night Stand. That's quite good fun. There was a physical release of it. I know, right? You're right to laugh.
I appreciate
no, you're right to laugh.
Yeah. Great.
Sorry, you said you were playing One Night Stand, and there was and then there was a physical release.
Oh, I see. I didn't even pick up on that.
I thought this is a new IRL game it's like the new Flash bombing. It's called That's this new game now? Okay.
Just another chapter of my bizarre life.
Very Black Mirror.
How I roll.
Sorry, One Night Stand. What is it, Harry?
It's a visual novel game by one sort of singular developer. I was good friends with Lucy Blundell. Was on Steam, PC release, and there was a limited run of physical games, which I think you can still get. So check those out, because those are rather good. I'll leave the details in the show notes. Because, nice. It's nice to support indie devs. And, great game. And, I guess that wraps it up. So, thanks everyone for listening. As ever, you can find us on all the socials as @Gamerdisco, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I mean, I don't really use the Instagram, but send us nice pictures. Is that what you do there? I don't understand.
So.
No, I think that's Snapchat.
They can send us cakes. They can send us smells of burning rubber through Instagram.
There you go.
Maybe.
You pioneered it here first. Amazing. Cool. Brilliant. Well, thanks so much for coming along, guys. And we'll be back next month with a Halloween-y themed episode, I believe. Ooh. So stay tuned for that. And send us messages on all the socials and we'll respond to you and tell you things because we're nice like that.
Yeah.
And cool. Thanks so much, guys. Speak to you soon.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.